Riders and racers, welcome back to another live stream. Today's live stream is how to bulletproof your back for Hattah 2022. So I know, especially with the longer rides, so we're looking at like Fink, looking at Hattah, really any type of, hey Daniel, not just desert racing, but just enduro riding in general when you're around that 3 to 4 hour mark, is when your back starts to get fired up. And it's not necessarily something that's a problem at the start of the race. It's more of a problem as you keep riding and getting through a ride in the race. It's more the second half of the race rather than the first half of the race, which is why most motocross guys don't really have issues with their back because they're not riding for that long. So first thing that you need to understand is, okay, why is my back getting sore and why does it only get sore in the second half of a race and it doesn't get sore in the first half? Majority of the time what's happening is the main muscle groups that are working at the start of the race start to get fatigued. So you find at the start of the race, your skills are good. You know, you got your elbows up, you stand up when you need to, your legs are fresh, everything's working really, really well. And then what happens is as those main muscle groups that are being used start to fatigue, they're not as strong, they're not as capable, they don't have as much endurance as what they had at the start. So what starts to happen is you start to sit down more, your body gets jarred a lot more, and you're riding the bike in conservation mode. Okay, you're trying to save energy. And so what starts to happen is, as well as the extra jarring that you get in because you're not getting in the right positions on the bike, the main muscle groups that you were using before aren't getting used. Okay, so instead of using your legs to move up and down off the seat, you start to use your back to move up and down off the seat. So what starts to happen is when these muscle groups are fatigued, we automatically shift our riding style or shift your technique, shift your skill set, hey Ben, to try and take load off specific areas of the body. Hey Jared. And so when you're trying to take load off one area of the body, the load has to go somewhere else. And so what usually happens is at the start, you're doing all the right things. Hey, James, using the right areas of the body to ride the bike well. And then as you keep riding, you shift that and you start to use other areas. So that's why arm pump tends to become an issue because you start to hang on and use your arms a lot more rather than using your upper back and your shoulders to move around on the bike. And same with your back. You start to use your back a lot more to move backwards and forwards, up and down on the bike, rather than using your legs because those areas are fatigued. So that's the first thing you need to understand. So how do you fix this? Okay, or how do you work on this? So there's three different areas that I recommend to work on. First one is just get stronger overall in general. So if you can get your upper body stronger, okay, you can get your core stronger, you get your lower back stronger, you get your lower body stronger, you get everything from head to toe a lot stronger, what's going to happen is you're not going to fatigue as quickly at the start. So the longer we can get you being consistent with your technique and not fatiguing and not running out of energy and not having certain body parts which feel weak, then you can be more consistent with your riding style. And the more consistent you are with the riding style, then the less load we have on all of those other areas. So most of the load on your back comes from compensation. It comes from other areas of your body breaking down and those muscles being really fatigued. And then you're shifting your riding style, shifting your technique, and using different muscle groups that you wouldn't normally use, and then they start to get jacked up and overworked. So if you have a look at the size of your legs, okay, any legs, even if you don't do any leg training at all, you have a look at the muscles in your legs, your quads, your hamstrings, your arse, your glutes. Look at the size of those muscle groups, and then have a look at your spine, okay? Have a look at the muscles that are surrounding your lower back. The muscles surrounding your lower back are like this big, okay? Your spinal erectors on the side of your spine. They're very small muscle groups. You look at the size of your leg muscles are like this, okay? So these little spinal erectors aren't made to be doing a shit ton of work. They're not made to be throwing around a 100-kilo bike plus your body weight for 4 hours. That's what your legs are designed for. They're the big powerhouse muscle groups that are doing most of the heavy lifting or should be doing the heavy lifting when you're out riding. So first of all, just stop those areas that are getting fatigued halfway through. Stop them from getting fatigued. So how do you do that? Go to the gym, train, get under some heavier weights. You can do things like back squats, bent over rows, overhead presses, deadlifts. Okay, they're a good start for you. They're going to allow you to develop some strength and get your whole body stronger. And ultimately, that's what we're doing. We're just stopping you from fatigue. As soon as you start to fatigue, that's when arm pump starts to become an issue. That's when your lower back starts to become an issue. So that's the first thing, get strong. Second thing is do longer rides. So it still surprises me every year when I speak to riders and they don't do long rides. So like if you're looking at Hattah's a 4-hour race, right? Or give or take, 4-hour race. Now, you know that in advance, okay? Yeah, every year it surprises me how many riders when they go and ride and when they go and practice on the bike, aren't doing anywhere near 4 hours. Okay, they go out for a ride for say an hour, okay, or an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then all of a sudden go to Hattah and they're expecting their body to be okay with riding 4 hours. It doesn't matter how much training you do and how much gym stuff you do. When you do go and ride, you have to get your body comfortable at doing long stints of riding without rest periods, like in one go. Okay, so you can't break it up into like an hour here, an hour there, an hour here, an hour there to do your 4 hours. You have to get your body comfortable at doing 2, 3, 4 hour blocks of riding all at once, because that's what you're going to be doing when you go to Hattah. And the reason that that's important is there's specific muscle groups and specific muscle groups that are going to be overworked, that are going to be used a lot for that 4 hour period of time. And even if your back gets sore, there's no amount of back extensions, okay, no amount of deadlifts that you can do in the gym that's going to compensate for doing a specific movement for 4 hours, so like riding your bike. The only way to build up that level of endurance, okay, is you need to be spending some time doing those longer distance rides. Hey, Brock, doesn't mean you need to be riding all the time. It doesn't mean that you don't do any gym training, you can only ride. It just means you have to have longer distance rides in there to get your body used to being on the bike for that period of time. All the training you do off the bike helps to support that work that you're doing on the bike. Okay, the gym work and the stuff that I talk about, the weight training, is not a substitution for riding. It doesn't mean only do half an hour or 1 hour rides, okay, and then do the rest as gym work and then expect to be okay by the time you get to Hattah. You still have to be doing those longer rides. You don't have to do them all the time, but you do have to be doing them. So that's the second thing. Third thing is you need to increase your endurance through your cardio. So there's 2 areas of cardio you need to work on. You need to work on your longer distance cardio, your endurance cardio, which is steady state cardio. So it's like, doing your long distance cycles for half an hour, an hour. It's doing long distance rides on your bike. Okay, that's the best way to build your endurance on the bike, is to do those longer rides. Okay, there's no amount of cycling or running that you can do during the week that's going to improve your endurance drastically for when you go and ride. You need to be spending those longer periods of time on the bike. The other cardio system, hey Neil, is the shorter bursts of energy. Okay, so as you're going through Hattah, as tough as the track is and as long as the race is, there's different levels of intensity around the track. Some parts which are really rough, really chopped out. You might have like a new line that's just come up on the edge of the track, okay, or a nice berm that you can go around, which is a tiny bit of rest, okay, you just sit down and relax for a little bit. So we need to train for that. We need to train for, okay, we've got some parts of the track which are very high intensity, some parts of the track which are a little bit lower, some parts which are very high, some parts which are much lower. And the way that you do that is through intervals. So you can do sprint workout on the bike if you want, like you would do for like a test, enduro tests that they have. Usually have like, I think for the Vic off-roads, they have like a cross-country day and then they have like a special test day. So you can practice doing special tests. You could go to the motocross track and start doing some motocross races or, short 3, 4, 5 lap motocross sprints. Or if you want to do it in the gym, jump on the rowing machine and do intervals that way. So you could do 500 meters flat out, rest for 2 minutes, 500 meters flat out, rest for 2 minutes, and do that 2, 3, 4 times to work on that energy system as well. So just to recap on that, first thing is get strong. Okay, just stop your body from fatiguing. The more you can stop your body from fatiguing from the start, then the less chance you have of using other muscle groups that aren't designed to do the work that you're asking them to do. Second is do longer rides. Okay, don't be the person who does half-hour, 1 hour rides and then goes to Hattah and does 4 hours, and then you're surprised that your body wasn't up to standard, okay, or up to scratch. You have to be doing longer rides. Don't have to be all the time, but when you do go and ride, get 3 or 4 hour rides in at once. And then the third thing, like we just spoke about, is the cardio side. Make sure you're doing the right type of cardio and you're building your endurance system, the longer distance stuff, and you're building the higher intensity stuff at the same time. So on that note, if you would like some help bulletproofing your back and bulletproofing the rest of your body for Hattah for next year, for 2022, I'm looking for a handful of riders to start getting ready. We'll be kicking off in not next Monday, the Monday after. I'll be taking on a new group of Hattah guys. So if that's something that you are keen to jump in with, you want to jump in with the other Hattah guys that I'm getting ready, feel free to apply. I'll put the application form below in the comments. This is not for guys that think it's too early to get ready for Hattah. Okay, if you're someone who leaves it to last minute and you want to get ready a few weeks or a few months before, this will not be the program for you. Okay, this is for the guys that really want to give this a good crack next year and give themselves plenty of time to get ready. So if that's something you're interested in, there's a little bit more information below in the comments. Feel free to apply. Common mistakes that I see. Three things that I see with riders prepping for Hattah. Common mistakes. Oh, we just lost connection there for a bit. First thing is riders not riding long enough, as I've already banged on about already. Okay, I see riders that do these smaller motos. You can't get away with doing smaller amounts of riding and then expecting to go and ride for 4 hours. It doesn't matter how much gym work you do, how much cycling you do, how much running you do. You need to be spending those large amounts of time on the bike when you do go for a ride. You can't go for a ride down at your local motocross track and be doing 10, 15, 20 minutes, half hour at a time, okay, and then expect to get to Hattah and put in a solid 4 hours. It's just not going to happen. No matter how much training you've done, no matter how fit you are, your body is going to struggle because it's not used to doing that amount of volume on the bike. So get out there and do the longer rides. Second thing is riders will do lots of cardio and not do enough strength work. So what will happen is they'll go out and they'll go, okay, I've got Hattah, it's 4 hours. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and do an hour of running. I'm going to run 10 Ks every day, okay? Or I'm going to go and cycle for an hour, 3 or 4 times a week, okay, or more. And the problem with that is you're only working on one area of your fitness, okay? You're only working on bulletproofing your body from one perspective and one angle, and that's the endurance side. What you're not accounting for is the strength. You've got a 100 kilo bike plus your body weight on top of that, okay? So if you're a 100 kilo bike, you've got 80 kilos of body weight, 180 kilo total. You're muscling and wrestling that 180 kilos around for 4 hours. There is no amount of cycling or running, okay, or even body weight squats and burpees and push-ups that you can do that's going to give you adequate strength to muscle that around. That's not to say if you're doing no training that you're not going to get improvement with doing some cycling or doing some body weight stuff. What I'm talking about is what's going to give you the best return on your time. We all only have a limited amount of time to put into training. Okay, unless you're a factory rider and you've got all day, every day to go and train, you've only got a limited amount of time to train. So you have to make sure that the time you're putting into training is actually effective in helping you on the bike. You're not doing stuff that's giving you this much of a return rather than putting the same amount of time into getting this much of a return. And then the third thing is exercise versus training. The other thing I see every year, and the same for Think as well, a lot of riders just exercise. Okay, they just do random stuff, random things with their training. It's like, oh yeah, I'll go for a mountain bike. Yeah, I'll go to the gym today and make it up on the spot. And it's just random. It's just getting your heart rate up and burning some calories. The difference between training and exercise is just getting your heart rate up, getting a sweat on, burning some calories. Training is progress. Training is specific measurable progress where you have a very clear action plan of where you are now and where you want to go. So if you're someone who can ride at a good pace for 2 hours and you want to get to Hattah and get ready for 4 hours, then what you need is not exercise, you need a specific plan, okay? You need to train. You need to go, okay, these are the things I need to do. This is what next Monday is going to look like. This is what Tuesday is going to look like. This is what Thursday is going to look like. This is what I'm working on for the next 4 weeks. After that 4 weeks is done, this is what I'm going to be working on. If I do these things A, B, and C over the next few months and do this each session, this is going to get me ready and get me towards my goal of 4 hours. Okay, and you want to measure that progress. So with the riders that I work with, we measure progress because I want to make sure that every single week they are progressing towards their goal. For some of them, it's to lose weight. So I want to make sure, hey, we're losing weight every week. Okay, some of them, it's improve their riding endurance. So, hey, I want to make sure every time you get on the bike, you can ride slightly longer or slightly harder for longer than what you did on the previous ride. Always want to make sure that every week, every ride, they're making progress towards their goal. Whereas with the exercise people, it's like they just go there and do stuff and they kind of don't even know if they're progressing or not. Maybe they talk themselves into going, yeah, I am progressing because they're putting in all this work, but really they can't tell the difference. I want noticeable, hard data that we can see, hey, you're getting stronger. Hey, your riding endurance and fitness is improving. Hey, you're losing weight. Or hey, for some of our guys, it's the opposite. They need to gain weight to be able to get stronger. We go, okay, you're gaining weight every week. Great. Always looking for progress, making sure that you're moving forward. And that helps with motivation as well. Okay, it doesn't matter if you don't particularly enjoy training. Okay, a lot of you won't particularly enjoy training. You enjoy riding. The only reason you do the training is because you want it to help your riding. So when you start to see progress on the bike, it's a lot easier to go and train because you want to go and train because you're like, shit, I don't really particularly enjoy training, but I love doing this training stuff because it makes riding 10 times more fun and I get 10 times better results on the weekend from going in there and doing it. When you go and train, like for me when I was racing, when you go and train and you're not getting results and you feel like it's not helping you on the bike, you start to be inconsistent with your training. You're like, why am I doing this stuff? You start to miss sessions. You're not consistent. And then obviously you don't get consistent results because you're not doing it. And you're not doing it because you're not seeing the results. So progress is the most important indicator for your program. If you're not making clear, hard progress every week that you can write down on a piece of paper and go, yeah, this is the measurable improvement I've got, then what you're doing isn't the right stuff. Okay, you need to be doing something better. So if you would like some help getting ready for Hattah next year, you want to bulletproof your back, bulletproof the rest of your body to make sure that your riding skills are the thing that holds you back, okay, not your fitness going into next year, then feel free to jump in with the next group of Hattah riders that I'll be working with. We're not kicking off the Monday coming, it'll be the Monday after. So if that's something that you're interested in and you'd like some help with, click the link in the comments and apply. Ask you a couple of quick questions about what you're working towards with your riding. As I said before, this is not for guys that want to leave their training to the last minute, okay? This is for riders that want to start training now, give themselves a really good run up and have a really good crack at getting ready for next year. So if this is you, as I said, apply below in the comments. Otherwise, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and I'm sure I'll chat to you guys soon. See ya.